They told you it was just a doll, but something in you always hesitated. Maybe it was the eyes not painted, but stitched, still capable of holding something that feels ... present. Maybe it was the way the room changed when she entered it, or how people spoke her name with a pause between syllables, as if calling her awakened something. Annabelle, there it is again. A name that echoes, a name that pulls, a name that remembers you the moment you say it. This isn't a Hollywood creation. It isn't all exaggeration. It started with fabric, cotton, a gift, something innocent, and then it moved first across a room, then into dreams, then into fear. Thousands have stood before her now, separated by glass, protected by prayers, still afraid to look too long, because people say, if you disrespect her, something follows you home, and sometimes something doesn't leave. This story is more than just the haunted doll trope, more than the Warrens, more than what you've seen on screen. This is a descent into documentation, into recorded accounts, into what happened after the cameras stopped rolling. So take a breath now, feel your hands, the weight of your body, the sound around you, because as this story unfolds, you might notice a few things. A cold draft where there shouldn't be one, that flicker in the corner of your screen, or the sensation that something is waiting. It's just suggestion, right? But if you feel something before this ends, that's not us. Some stories don't want to be told, but Annabelle's demands to be finished. Part 1. Origins. A gift turned nightmare. It started with love. In 1970, a young nursing student named Donna received a gift from her mother, a large Raggedy Ann doll. Red yarn hair, stitched smile. A childhood comfort, reborn for a new chapter in life. She placed it on her bed by the end of the week. The doll was no longer just decoration. Donna and her roommate Angie began to notice small things, barely worth mentioning. A leg slightly crossed, an arm draped differently, but then it moved. From bed to couch, from room to room. Once, they left it in the living room. Returned from class to find it kneeling at the foot of Donna's bed. They asked each other, then friends. No one confessed. Everyone laughed, until the messages started. Notes, childlike handwriting, scribbled in pencil on parchment neither of them owned. Help us, miss me, save Lou. Lou was Angie's boyfriend. He hated the doll, said its presence was wrong. One night, he awoke frozen. Sleep paralysis, the doll on his chest. Not smiling, just looking. Then came the scratches. 3 deep marks across Lou's chest. Blood, but no tears in his shirt. Donna called a medium. The session revealed a girl, Annabelle Higgins, 7 years old, died tragically in the field the apartment complex was built on. Her spirit was lonely, just wanted to be loved, touched. Donna gave permission for the spirit to stay in the doll. That was the real mistake, because what followed wasn't love, it was infestation. Shadows began appearing. The doll would vanish and reappear. Doors opened without sound. Cold spots, whispers, and Louhi was attacked again, this time in full view. Hands around his throat, invisible, unrelenting. That's when they called for help. Not from a priest, from DEMONOLOGISTS. Ed and Lorraine Warren, and what the Warrens found changed everything. Part 2. The Warrens' involvement, identifying the evil when Ed and Lorraine Warren arrived at the apartment. They didn't need time to assess. They felt it immediately. The air wasn't just cold, it watched. The doll was positioned in a chair, stiff, silent, staring toward the window as if waiting for someone or something. Lorraine approached first. She described a shadow behind the doll, like a shape trying to shrink inside it. The Warrens were not amused by the Annabelle Higgins story. They saw through it. Spirits of children do not possess objects. They cling to people. What's inside this doll is inhuman. They called it a conjuring, a deceiver, an entity pretending to be a harmless presence to earn trust and, eventually, entry. Permission had already been given. That opened the door. The Warrens declared the apartment infested a stage of demonic oppression meant to sow confusion, terror, and emotional vulnerability. Next would come full possession, but not of the doll, of Donna, of Lou, of whoever broke first. Ed performed a binding prayer. Lorraine refused to touch the doll with bare hands. The entity fought back in ways subtle but chilling. The lights flickered. The crucifix on the wall cracked. Donna fainted. And when they carried the doll out, the building went silent. Back at their house, Ed placed the doll in the back seat. Driving, he made the sign of the cross at every turn. 3 times, the car stalled. Once, nearly causing a crash. Back at the Warren household, Annabelle was placed in Ed's study. But she did not sit still, she moved. One morning, Ed found her on the stairs. Another day, she was seated on the edge of Lorraine's bed. They called in a priest to perform a blessing. He mocked the doll, laughed, said God would protect him. Hours later, his brakes failed on the highway. He survived, but spent 6 months in recovery. From that day forward, the Warrens built a case. Glass, blessed. Locked, a warning. And on the front, positively do not open. Part 3. The curse continues. Incidents and accidents. Annabelle didn't fade after being sealed. She adapted. Visitors who mocked her reported car accidents on their way home. Others claimed to see her face stitched, silenting the backs of their eyelids when they tried to sleep. A young man once tapped on the glass. Do something, he laughed, took a photo. On the way home, he lost control of his motorcycle. He died instantly. His girlfriend, who survived, told the Warrens what happened. He didn't believe. He dared her to prove it. Some call these coincidences, some don't. A priest visiting the museum once placed his hand on the case and said, "A prayer of mockery." That week, lightning struck the rectory where he lived. Twice, the Warrens documented every event, every phone call, every injury, illness, or encounter that followed contact with the doll. Lorraine once said, "There are things in this world that feed on disbelief. They don't want worship, they want challenge, and when they get it, they answered." Ed began to notice cold spots in the room, even when the heater was running. Lorraine stopped sleeping near the case. She claimed to hear breathing, not from the doll but beside her ear. To this day, museum staff won't open the room without a blessing. And no one, no matter how brave, touches the case, because the last person who tried never made it out of the building. Part 4. Annabelle. Today, the legend lives. An Annabelle remains behind glass. But her story never stopped moving. The Warrens' Occult Museum, once a private collection, became the final resting place of the doll. Visitors came in hushed groups, some curious, others reverent. Then the museum closed. Legal disputes, zoning issues, the passing of Ed, and later Lorraine Warren left many of the artifacts including Annabelle in storage. But even in isolation, she didn't disappear. Rumors spread that the doll had vanished, that the case was empty, that someone touched the lock. In 2020, a viral tweet claimed she had escaped. It wasn't true, but fear doesn't care about facts. The post went global. Thousands felt the chill. Some reported electrical malfunctions after reading about it. One woman in Brazil claimed her Alexa device whispered the name Annabelle that same night. Coincidence or signal? The legend lives on because belief sustains it. Podcasts, articles, YouTube breakdowns. Each retelling adds another thread to the web of attention that fuels it. And when objects are fed attention, they respond. Paranormal. Investigators still try to test it. From a distance. One group used infrared sensors. No one was in the room, but one camera recorded a thermal signature, breathing beside the case. Another found the EMF spiking only when her name was said aloud. Today, the case is blessed regularly, surrounded by prayers. But the warnings remain. Don't touch the glass. Don't mock the name. Don't ask what's inside, because even locked away, she listens. Part 5. The power of belief enables power doesn't come from movement, or malice, or even presence. It comes from us. From every glance, every whisper, every moment someone dares to believe, or dares even more to mock. Because belief is a current, and current powers everything. This story, her story, is not finished. Not because she will move again, but because we will. We'll tell it. Pass it on. We'll wonder. We'll look over our shoulder in the dark, just in case. And in that moment, she grows stronger. Whether Annabelle is a vessel for something ancient, a psychic echo, or a masterclass in fear psychology. One thing is certain, she exists, because you're thinking about her, because you made it this far, and that's all she ever needed. Some entities don't require worship, just memory, and the moment you remember her, she's already back.